How is? Welcome to an epic voyage number 40. 40 already, and that's not in counting all the other ones from the Rona Chronicles before that I didn't number. So that's how long this thing has been going on. This dissertation, this episode in human history has been going on. I hope you're all keeping well. I know it's been about a week or so since I made a vlog, and the reason for that was I was up in West Ulster and Donegal filming, exploring, understanding megaliths. And I got some great footage with my friend Neil MacDonald. And I got visited some new sites for the first time, ones I haven't been to for years. And it was another layer in the understanding of the Druid code, about the mysteries of our ancient past and what kind of people our ancient ancestors were, and what it ultimately all means to us today. And I have to say, it was a very a very good trip. I was a bit disappointed to see so many sectarian flags still flying up north in certain neighborhoods and villages you would come into. Uh, but that's always going to die hard. That thing. There's people who will they put when your identity is rested upon everything, you'll do anything to hold on to that identity if you have nothing else to offer or live for in life. And the same thing with the Rona. It's been around so long now that it's moved beyond the religion to actually now it's people's existence. They're Homo Rona. That's what they are, and they can't they can't imagine life now without the Rona, which is what the control system was after. And here we are on the 19th anniversary of 9/11, and just again, like that, this is being used as a means to restrict your freedom and liberties. And I always say, like, it doesn't matter the minutiae and details of things like 9/11 or the Kennedy assassination or even this Rona thing. What matters is how they are all used in one way or another to rob you of your freedom of rights. Your freedom of expression, your ability to travel, your ability to do things. And the mud of bureaucracy just becomes denser and thicker as a result. Because of 9/11, you have to get onto a plane half naked, and have every detail of your body scanned and everything in your bags and everything scanned. All of us have been made guilty for 9/11 in the same, I always think of that analogy of the prime suspect in the murder of Leslie Joe Rimmer in 1993, I think it was, in Hebden Bridge in Yorkshire, was Jimmy Savile. The local vicar knew that Savile was the prime suspect, and they interviewed every single man. The police interviewed every single man in Hebden Bridge, except the prime suspect, because he was Jimmy Savile. And they've done this. They're doing the same with us. With 9/11, the whole human race has been made collective. We're all treated like terrorists. We all have to take off our shoes, our belts, and all the other things. We've all been punished for something we didn't do. The same thing with the Rona. We're all being punished for something we didn't do. And 9/11 made the default for human beings being terrorists. Every human being is a terrorist now because of 9/11. That's the default. Now every human being is an effective bag of diseases because of the COVID-19. That's now the new default. And if people can't see this, there's no hope for them. There's absolutely no hope for them, none whatsoever. And but that's what human beings are like. Fear is a tremendous motivating factor. Fear is the mind killer, as they say in Dune. It really is. And but they don't want, at the same time, they don't want to think about it. They just tell me what I have to do, government, bureaucracy, the corporations, and I'll do it. I'll do it. Just give me something. I'll do it. Protect me. And that's what they're like. I heard a story there the other day that the new one is in Irish pubs is that you can leave a TV on because you have to get your COVID numbers on the constant news, but you can't have the volume up in the TV place because the if you have to shout over the TV volume, you'd be a lot more likely to spread corona. Another one was that they said that people should stop saying words with B's and P's in them, because would spread the Rona further. Uh, Newsweek had an article saying that people who don't wear face masks are more likely to be psychopaths. Now, that is complete bullshit. If they knew anything about psychopaths do everything to fit in with the norm, because that's the normal mainstream is where the target rich environment for the malicious pathological predator is, not mavericks and not on the alternative or the avant-garde. They want to go to the primary target rich environment, which is the mainstream. So not only would every psychopath be wearing a mask and be among the first to do it, they'd make sure they'd wear cute masks like Mickey Mouse masks or superhero masks or funny, charming masks to make people feel, oh, isn't he wonderful? He's so cute. And that's as he's preying on them. He'll also be the type that, like when England, when they were out on the streets banging their pots and pans, wouldn't be the first one out, but he'd come out with the main group, and he'd observe who wasn't there, and he'd say to them, "Well, I can't really prey on them because they're too intelligent." And he'd look at the ones who were the most enthusiastic, banging the pots and pans and screaming, and go, "They're the biggest gullible assholes. They're the ones I can prey on." And they'd also use the mask to hide their duper's delight. You know, their duper's delight. And so they would love the mask, absolutely adore it. And you wouldn't see that shit-eating grin anymore. And so the Newsweek completely took the science of the thing and turned it upside down for the mask Rona agenda. And it's just, and I saw another thing. A man nearly died on an EasyJet flight, I think it was, because he couldn't wear the mask because he was asthmatic. And I'm seeing comments by people saying he was an asshole, he shouldn't have flew. Sorry, hold on a second. Asthma is a disability, just like being in a wheelchair. Should we remove wheelchair ramps from buses and trains? So, and just say call people in wheelchairs assholes because they have to use them? No, they're entitled to travel. If you have asthma, you're entitled to travel just as much as anyone else. Also, you can't wear a mask because of the asthma. What does it matter if everyone else is wearing a mask? They won't get it anyway because they're all masked in the plane. So it's safe. It's just one more thing. It's like one more right taken away, one more thing taken from you. And again, don't let it get you down too much, because like the restrictions coming in now, they're getting more. You see, this is the thing with the psychopaths, is they always roll the dice one times too many when they're gaslighting. And you're seeing that now in England. There's, you can gather with a group of people as long as it's near a cash register, where a corporation, preferably, is taking your money. That's okay, you can gather there. And they're thinking of bringing in a 10 p.m. curfew to stop the spread of the virus. So not only does the virus know what you're having with your beer to eat, but it also knows what time of the day it is. And it's the classic psychopathic thing. They're pushing it too much. And you see that like in the likes of Bill Gates, who hides his pure evil behind his nerd image, the high-pitched voice and the hands. But that's a total predator. I mean, that's the total psychopath there. And the shitty grin and the duper's delight flying when he's talking about people dying in their thousands and stuff like that. And to his credit, God bless him, Goddess bless him, all the gods bless him, Ian Brown said that not only did he not back down from his comments about the mask with being tyranny and the whole lockdown being tyranny, but he's also upped the ante and said that people have asked me what kind of qualifications I have. And he says the same as computer salesman Bill Gates. That was just that's classic magic. That was magic. That was chaos magic right there and then. And all the phony fake fans who are probably never into him or only know like one song by him, like Fear or I Want to Be Adored. They're all going, I'm really upset. Dean Brown's don't have to be in. Even my heroes now, they would have been into him anyway. The same with the ones who are doing it with Morrissey. they don't want freedom of speech. They do not want freedom of speech, and under any circumstances, lefties love all this. They love control, and they love the gulag mindset is never too far from a lefty or a liberal, and so they're loving all this. But again, the things like don't say P's and B's, and they don't have a TV on because volume on because of people probably shout, or now this thing they're always already rolled the dice too far in many ways, and this is their undoing. They can't put, you see, if they had to put the brakes on before they made the masks mandatory, they probably would have kept this scam going longer than it'll go now. But because the psychopathic mindset doesn't know how to put the brakes on, when it's not happy murdering one woman, it needs to murder another and another and another. Well, the same characters are in power in government and in bureaucracy and corporations. They're not just happy with one restriction. They want another and another and another. It's the same pathological psychopathic drive behind both. And this will be, as always, this will be their undoing. And they probably lost control of themselves already, because even people I know that were falling for it earlier on are like, now I just want, life has to go back on. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he told me that 50% of the taxis in Sligo are still not back to work, because the taxi drivers, pussy boys, are all at home terrified they're going to get the Rona. And he just said to me, life has to go on. I'm back. Life has to go on. And that's what you're getting. I'm seeing that more and more now. Life has to go on. Life just has to go on. And there'll always be terrified ninnies who are sitting at home. And that's been a huge education with this. But like, and another, you're getting real educations here. And not just about the society of people, they will use the Rona to carry an underlying resentment that they never vocally aired against you. This will be very good in the comment. The comment section of this video will light up with this. You'll say something like, I don't believe in because there's a pandemic. Yeah, there's a virus, but there's no pandemic. There's no need for all this lockdown. This is serving a different political and corporate agenda. You'll get the ones saying, oh, conspiracy theory, flat earth. But you'll also get the ones who, in the midst of that, will turn around and say, you fucked off on your wife with a young one. Or else, oh, well, what do you know? Your own son doesn't talk to you. Or, that kind of thing. Well, what the conspiracy theorists, flat earth. Of course there's a fucking pandemic. What do you know? What do you know? You're the one who got fired from that job. You see, the little fucking, the scumbaggery comes. It's almost like a carrier wave. The COVID-19 is the carrier wave, but the scumbaggery underlying resentment that they've always wanted, they've secretly held against you. And just, my friends, light up the comment section with this, because we all know for a fact it's already happened, many of us. And it's beyond being called a conspiracy theorist or a flat earther or whatever they want to call you, a tinfoil hat lunatic. You will have gotten the little dig, the little fucking dig, that little, and you see that at the macro level, like the people who were at the Freedom March in Dublin, they were calling them white nationalists, even though there was all kinds of people and races at that event, they were calling them white nationalists. And that was because there were lefties on the other side who were jealous and resentful that they couldn't do that, and didn't bring out a crowd like that. They would have, and so they're going to have their own anti-fascist rally, right, in Dublin, as in a response to that one. Okay, now they couldn't say pro-mask rally. It's just like, you don't believe the corona is a pandemic, and you're the one who fucked off on your wife and kids for a young one. They're bringing that dynamic into it, saying it's anti-fascist. If you don't wear a mask, you're a fascist. If you want your freedom of travel, you're a fascist. You hate black people, you hate Jews, you hate everyone. The same old lefty tricks. Well, I think If any of you here are part of the activism movement in Ireland, this is directly this is directly for you. Okay, now listen to me carefully. Give the fuckers back what they gave you. Okay, that's not a anti-fascist movement that's coming up in Dublin. It is a pro-pedophilia movement and march. And I'll tell you why. The same people that supported Roderick O'Gorman's bizarre relationship, the Minister for Children's bizarre relationship with Peter Tatchell, a child sexual rights activist, that they're the same people will all be there. So, you can now start calling them pro-pedophilia activists. If what's good for them is good for you, if they can call you a white nationalist for wanting to wear a mask, give it back to them in spades. Christy Moore is singing on stage today in Dublin at a pro-pedophilia rally. How does that fucking feel now? No, I'm on the stage here singing because I'm against fascism and racism. Okay, but the people that you're singing to and surrounded with called people who didn't question the pandemic white nationalists, using the same logic, the same criteria, and the same rationale that I'm using on your people. You are a pro-pedophilia rally. No, we're not. We're against fascists. Well, now you know how it feels when you call the people who weren't wearing masks, who want to wear masks when they're not needed, white nationalists. We're using the same thing back on you. How does it feel now? Now, there'll be so many nutcases there, college professors and left-wingers types, who would go, well, maybe the sexual rights of children should be examined. Green Party members and this kind of thing. Yeah, so that's the irony of it, where you'd get very few people at the other march who would be white nationalists. You would actually, ironically, get lots of them in the anti-fascist march who would go, well, we recognise foreign marriages in Ireland, and a Muslim man in his 70s can marry a 9-year-old girl once she has her paedophilia. We must respect the religious choices of these people. It says on the Quran, once she has her period, she's okay. That's the irony of it. So now, you see how that's changed now? Just by me putting that into your head, that's an act of magic. That's a pro-paedophilia rally in Dublin coming up, not an anti-fascist rally. And suddenly, that's chaos magic for you. Switched it around, okay? Now, that's how you should think of those fake people. That's how you should think of them. If they can call you a white nationalist for going to an anti-mask rally or an anti-lockdown rally, you are perfectly entitled to call them a pro-paedophilia and child rape festival. Give it right back to them. Give it right back to them. And don't be afraid of that. Don't be ashamed of that. And of course, most of the people there won't be pro-paedophilia. But if they're going to play that game with you, give it right back. Remember, I'm not a Christian. I don't have to turn the other cheek. I don't have to love thy brother. I don't have to love thy enemy. It's okay as a pagan to give back what you're given. Once that the attack upon you is malicious. And then you have the right to return that. And so there you go. Suddenly that changes the dynamic, doesn't it? Suddenly they're not all like peace-loving, all-together now types marching through the streets, lefties waving their flags and all that carry on. They're a bunch of weirdos who are facilitating nonsense and perverts. How about them apples, Finian and Tarquin? And give it right back to them. Give it right back to them. It's only fair. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And you don't have to start fight with them. You just have to walk. I mean, for years you've had things like lefties do things like print up racist literature, go into like say a Keep Britain White or Keep Ireland White, or blacks out and all this stuff, right? And they would go into moderate marches that were people that were in the middle ground, and they would drop these little flyers all over the ground saying, fight for Ireland to be white and all this stuff. So the newspaper picks it up and goes, oh, look, it was a pro-Nazi rally. The lefties have been doing that to moderate and middle ground rallies for years. Their operatives have been going in and dropping white nationalist neo-Nazi flyers and leaflets on the ground and stickers and stuff like that, to sort of the whole crowd gets blamed for being Nazis. Okay, why don't you turn around? Why don't you put down some literature saying love is love, reduce to the consenting age, and fight fascism in Ireland, reduce the age of consent to 8 years old, and drop them all over the floor where they are. I guarantee the media wouldn't pick them up and go, that bunch are a bunch of nonsense, non-supporters. You see how it works? How the game is rigged? Of course, don't do that. That'd be totally unethical. I'm just saying if it was done. And that's how the left have operated. They've gone into moderate middle road groups that were never had any racist aspects, and they infiltrated with fifth columnists. This goes right back to Bolshevism, and then later on cultural Marxism. Infiltrate and control. Pepper them with allegations. They've always operated like that. So that's what they're having, an anti-fascist march in Dublin. And it's to put the idea into people's heads that anyone who questions the lockdown on any level is a racist. And that's how despicable they are. That's how utterly despicable they are. But as I said, you just have to look at it in your mind, just think now, they're only meeting there because they're all pro-pedophilia. They love Roderick O'Gorman and, obsessed with... You see, this is what happens. I was talking to Dave Cullen privately. I'm not going to give any secrets, but he said this on a stage anyway, right? On his show anyway. And this is John Waters the same. When you remove a spiritual foundation from the people and replace it with sort of communism or atheism, the focus goes from being outside of the self to a greater spiritual awareness and towards the internal self. Now, the nearest thing you can get to a spiritual experience is the sexual orgasm, okay? It has the same kind of rapture, elation, and the closeness and bonding with the person that you're with, if you love them, of course, and they love you. That's why the atheist and the communist and the leftist is obsessed with the genitalia. The opportunities provided towards genitalia and orifices is the primary motivating factor of the socialist and the atheist. It's purely about the genitalia. What they can do with them and what holes they can stick them in. And the diversity of the holes, it comes to a point where the only way they can explore their genitalia spirituality, if you want to put it that way, is by broadening the spectrum of orifices their genitalia can penetrate or mutilate, whether it's circumcision or abortion, things like that. And I'm not anti-abortion or anything like that. But it ranges from free love, men upon men. I'm not anti-gay, of course. I have a huge gay following, nothing like that. I'm just saying it's never, gay men is not really about genitalia. It's about how they are in their souls. Their souls are gay, just like people who have genuinely have to transition and transgender. Their souls are the opposite. Their internal consciousness are the opposite. And I do know those people. They do have to have that done. They do. They have to transition. But you can mutilate them because you mutilate them and have them removed. Widen the spectrum. Young boys, younger girls, age of consent lowered. You understand? This is their holy sacrament. Okay. Expanding the range of the genitalia possibilities is what replaces the spiritual journey in these people's lives. And all you have to do is look at them and see that's what they're like. That's what they're like. They determine freedom by the possibilities of genitalia and the orifices they can enter. That's what it is if you're an atheist and if you're a socialist. That's the end of it. That's the end of it, okay? Where a person who's not an atheist or a socialist explores themselves by the possibilities of their spiritual development, be it through creativity, through art, through development of the self, because they see beyond themselves as something bigger and not a collective, not a materialistic or humanistic collective, but a connection to the landscape, to the universe, to everything. Where an atheist or a scientific materialist or scientism or an atheist doesn't see that. So it goes inward and it goes inward to the thing that gives them the most pleasure in this thing, the most distinct, most incredible feeling of rapture, and that is the sexual orgasm, and therefore the sexual orgasm becomes their spiritual path, and developing that by broadening the potential of what they can do with that. That's all that is about. That's all that's about. That when you've no spirit, it goes down into, when nothing's happened in the cosmos, it goes downtown, baby, and it stays downtown, and it gets darker and dirtier because you're not expanding beyond, and that's what that's all about. All about. This is why you have women today who are still, they cannot evolve into they hit menopause age and they don't become crones. They still think they're teenage girls who can hit on younger guys. The same with these men when they reach what Carl Jung called the senex, the rounding out of one's life, individuation. Oh no, he's 70 years old and he still thinks he can get a 19-year-old chick. This kind of thing, that's the result of a society where the spirit has been lost. Where this, and I'm not talking about religion. I'm a pagan. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about spirituality. And the spiritual identity has been lost and been replaced by the pursuit of a wide spectrum of genitalia and penetration of orifices. And that's what's wrong with those people. That's what's and this is why they're ultimately all on psych meds, suicidal and miserable, because that's a niche that can never be scratched. That's why Epstein's Island exists. And that's why they're trying to lower the age of consent. It's a pathological drive born out of a total and complete lack of no spiritual ability to connect ones with that of the cosmos, the countryside, and those around them. It's purely a complete lie. It is the spiritual form of a vaccine rather than developing a natural immune system, and that's why they're also obsessed with that too as well. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer, I'm just saying that's a metaphor for it, and that's what they're like. And I was thinking about that going through Northern Ireland last week and seeing those certain villages where you have the sectarian type flags. Now, it would be, the Union flag's not a sectarian flag, it's St. Patrick's Cross, but they're all put up there for that reason. I know that the other side do that as well. I mean, one of the reasons I will not support the nationalist movement in Ireland is because I don't feel any kinship with some toothless fuck in a Celtic jersey and a rake of pints in front of him going on about Palestinians. I have no kinship with them. They are not my people. They don't even care about Ireland. They're more likely to wave Hamas flags than Irish flags, and I want nothing to do with them either. And so yeah, wise the fuck up. Realize that a pathological structure, like a pathological individual, always rolls the dice one too many times. Wait for the dice to be rolled to one many times. When they crap out, seize opportunity. Parallel society. Do your own thing. Live as if they don't exist, as best as you can get away with it, while at the same time not causing any trouble by sticking your head above the parapet of mundane sameness, mask-wearing oblivion of the conventions of the bland mud, plasticine brown mashed up society. And that's it. Keep the song in your heart. Fuck them if they can't take a joke. Talk to you next time, and thanks for being here for 40 videos. Love yous all, and goodbye.